All right, we are live once again, episode 3 of the Spin Cycle. Andrew Southwick with you, RC Williams down on the bottom of the screen. We're doing Brady Bunch stuff today, and of course, Julianna Roman joins us for this episode today. Welcome, Juliana. You can see all of us on Culture Crossroads. That airs a couple of different networks now: Beck News Network, BeckTV.plus, every Sunday evening, 5 p.m. Central Time, and you can find clips segments on our YouTube page, the Culture Crossroads YouTube page. That is at Culture Crossroads 316. You'll see that streaming across the bottom. But it's also, RC, remind us, we're on the Watchmen Action Network as well, correct?
That is correct, Andrew. So the Spin Cycle airs weeknights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Watchmen Action Network. That's on the Epic Cable Network, Channel 40 in North Dakota, and expanding soon to Roku TV, Pluto TV, Tubi TV, and all the other places where you'd want to find it. So we're excited to be able to run Spin Cycle the same day. Culture Crossroads also airs on the network throughout the week, and then the first airing for each week runs on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
And then, of course, Spin Cycle, this is just our daily, this is a very informal conversation. We want this to be and engaging for you. So as we're talking, if you have comments, you have questions, leave them in the comment section on wherever you are watching this program. All we ask, keep it civil, keep it family friendly, and we will have a great time. Also, if you have stories that you'd like to get our take on, again, let us know in the comment section. And if we can't get it to it in one episode, we'll try to get to it in a coming one, if that works. Juliana, good to see you today. Hopefully all is well in your part of the world.
Yes, sir. It's wonderful over here. I got a free break to be able to be with you guys, and I'm really excited to hear what we're doing today on the Spin Cycle, having just conversations.
All righty. Well, let's start off with daylight savings time. This is now I'm starting with this on purpose because actually I think it's a distraction from another more serious issue, which we'll get to on this episode. But nonetheless, it's supposedly a fix to an annoyance that we all have, setting the clocks forward, setting the clocks back. And I tell you, like, when I was growing up and even through my 20s, I didn't mind switching the time. It was sort of like a bonus hour I would get to sleep in the fall. So I kind of looked at it like that. But now, as I'm an old man and I have kids, like, whether the hour goes forward or back, it screws me up for a good week, maybe two. And it's like our own personal and private jet lag that we have. So and so it is annoying, but what's interesting is the choice of daylight savings, that is to have more sunshine in the evening, which means that in our winters, particularly in the West Coast and northern states, the sunrise won't be till 9 a.m. for part of the winter. Can you imagine a 9 a.m. sunrise and then about a 6 o'clock sunset, 6:30 sunset, in particularly in the northern states and along the West Coast? There are, of course, now there's plenty of nutritional influencers and REM cycle experts and all this, and some of them probably have credibility, some of them don't. The debate is that our daylight savings time goes against the natural circadian rhythm of sleep and so on and so forth. So, is it going to lead to long-term health issues? Probably. If the government is doing it, it's probably going to lead to more health issues. And I'm sure that Pfizer and Moderna are working on the correct medication so that we can adjust to permanent daylight savings time. We will find, I'm sure that news is just about to break, just around the corner. It did pass the House. However, rumors now that Senator Tom Cotton's going to block it in the Senate, so it may not pass anyway. It's also worth noting daylight savings time, permanent daylight savings time, was tried in the 70s and it failed miserably. And so then we went back to switching back and forth. But anyway, I want to get your take. Does this even matter? Like, I wouldn't mind going to just permanent standard time and just let us all do our own thing. But and I guess if daylight savings is what you must do, then fine, pick one and do it. Call it 1 a.m., call it 4 a.m. I don't really care. Just pick something. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe we're making much ado about nothing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm going to say that, your circadian rhythm being off is a really big deal. When we're not feeling 100%, it impacts everything about us. So I'm a little concerned about not having something that's a little stable for our ability to have that, nice, neutral, we're going to be okay, stable kind of feeling instead of every 6 months, we're changing the hour back and forth and back and forth. And like you said, the 9 o'clock, morning, what's going to happen with the farmers that are out there? They depend on having, the sunrise in the morning, and that's going to affect what's happening with our farmers and whatnot. So, RC, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this now. I lived this experience because I lived in Minnesota for 4 years, and so you're so close to the North Pole, you actually get this experience. So in the winter, the sun wouldn't come up until roughly 8:30 in the morning, and it would go down maybe between 4:30 and 5:30, depending on one month of the year it was. So yeah, I mean that does happen. Here's the flip side: during the summer, the sun was up at 4:50 a.m.
Hmm.
and it wouldn't go down till 9 o'clock at night, right? So there's that impact depending on where you live. I do think that the switching back and forth does throw people off. And Andrew, to your point, as you get older, that becomes more intense, and it's hard because for the whole week, because mine is generally a week too, it throws you off. Here's what's interesting though. You mentioned the history behind it. They tried once before in 1974 to do away with it. And the reason that it was a disaster is because moms and families started complaining about the fact that kids were having to take the bus in the morning and it was pitch dark. And this was causing all types of issues. So they said, look, we can't do this anymore. And then it gets switched back. I got to think there's a way forward. And maybe the real answer is we ask the people who live the experience each and every year. And that would be the states of Indiana and Arizona, which do not switch their time. They do not observe daylight savings time. And maybe we should talk to the experts about how we deal with it.
See, why would we talk to the experts? I don't understand. We already know what to do, and as I mentioned to you, it's going to get in the way of whatever way we can monetize the problems that it's going
Yeah,
to
that's
cause
true.
in the future. Those are the experts we want to talk to.
That's true. I mean,
How can we monetize the disaster we're creating right now?
listen, I know
That is the American way. Come on, see?
Andrew, I know that Pfizer and Moderna are ready to give you a litany of side effects. They want to play the side effect Olympics. They cannot wait to give you something that will solve this problem and give you a bunch of side effects that they can also sell you side effects for to solve those side effects. But
Yes,
yeah,
or I could just go to bed, at a normal time. I could do
that's
that,
true.
but
That's
no,
true.
I don't forget that. That's the daylight savings time debate is certainly well. Actually, it's alive and well in the social media sphere. Over on X, it's probably about every third post that you see come through one or another. What I'm not seeing, I'm just enough of a skeptic to say, and also with the administration touting, "Hey, we're going to get daylight savings time when we're doing this." Well, at the same time, creeping around the back shallows is the debate over Section 219, which would create a shared military with the U.S. and Israel. And I do wonder if some of the daylight savings time, here's a big shiny thing that everybody will go look at. Look at the big flaming orb in the sky, and we're now it's gonna be an hour different or whatever it might be. But don't look at what we're gonna do over here, which is we're about to share all our sensitive military data, our technological data, our innovation with a foreign country. And I want to be clear at the outset. You and actually on this Sunday's Culture Crossroads, this is a good uh, um, promo for this. I'm breaking down this in greater detail, not from an expertise perspective. I'm not a military anything, but from the available data and the concerns that it raises. So we'll go through a lot of that on Sunday. Won't want to miss that report. But you, it's not about whether or not you are for or against Israel in terms of support. It's not this is really a global security and American national security interest question. Do we share this kind of information with anybody? It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Now, let me just quickly, Section 219. As of today, this provision has not become law. And the best way we can describe it, I don't want to overstate it either. It's not that Israel will have command powers over our military. Israel won't be able to say, to push a button and say, come over here and go to war. It's much more information sharing, but that it could be just as, if not more problematic. The best way I would describe it, it's not really a military merger in terms of soldiers, but it's an institutional integration of our nation's defense technologies, research, acquisition, industrial, and operational readiness. So, what it would actually do, it would create a Pentagon quote unquote executive agent, okay? Meaning the Secretary of Defense would be required to designate an agent responsible for, and this is from the text, synchronizing cooperative efforts between the U.S. and Israel, and for expanding a bilateral research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. All right, so it's more than just a liaison. This is a Pentagon entity or an official assigned department-wide responsibility for coordinating and designated function with Israel. It also then integrates Israeli origin technologies into U.S. military programs, so their tech becomes our tech. It moves joint research rapidly into Pentagon purchasing, and specifically from the House Armed Services Committee. This means the executive agent would help promising joint or Israeli origin technology move from experimentation in the U.S. to purchasing and deployment in the U.S. So we're just like we fast tracked biomedical research, we're going to fast track military weapon research. It establishes commercial and industrial partnerships. Again, from House Armed Services, this creates a deeper dependence between U.S. military programs and Israeli companies when it comes to intellectual property, software components, and maintenance networks. It then coordinates an Israel-related, work across major Pentagon organizations. It promotes joint training. This is maybe the most important point. Joint training and information sharing. And the bill expressly says it directs the executive agent at the Pentagon to, quote, joint training exercises and information sharing mechanisms to enhance operational readiness to deploy jointly developed technologies. Now, the unanswered policy question then is not whether information would be shared, but what information is shared, through which systems, at what classification level, and with which Israeli government or private entity, and under what continuing oversight. None of those things are outlined in this provision. It is so broad in its scope, so riddled with peril, because, and I'm going to add another wrinkle to this. Flock cameras are a big deal. I did a thing about flock cameras and our data just a couple of weeks ago. You can check that out on the YouTube channel. But for example, the flock cameras, one of the things that flock cameras can do, and stick with me, this bears, it's going to take our data, our surveillance data, and it's going to give it to a private company. Now, in America, it's illegal for the CIA to spy on Americans directly. But it's not illegal for the CIA to get information from a private company that just so happens to be about you and me and how we go back and forth in our days. Well, this same kind of information flow and information laundering can absolutely happen when we're sharing our military technologies and secrets with a foreign nation. What happens if they get hacked? I mean, nations get hacked. What happens if there's a leak? What happens if there's a mole? What happens if they sell it to China or Russia or back to Iran or any of the other nations that are hostile toward America? I really this to me, I really read this as a betrayal. I don't see how this is America first at all, and I don't know why we're even having the conversation other than I'm not going to speculate about it. It just reeks. I'll shut up now. You guys go.
Wow. I mean, I guess, Andrew, I'm finding when we do these things live, it is amazing to me.
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt. Nancy, thank you for being with us on YouTube. We are talking about America about to enter into an agreement with Israel to share our military secrets and our sensitive information with Israel. including technology, training, research, development, all kinds of things. And our issue with this is, why share that kind of information with any foreign entity? It can be stolen, it can be hacked, it can be sold on the black market, it can be sold to our global enemies. This is riddled with problems, and so that's what we're discussing. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your comment. All right, RC, go ahead.
Andrew, I'm amazed. In the last couple of days of doing the spin cycle, I can see why it's so necessary for us to stop for a minute and have these conversations logically. So let's get the first thing out first. In what world can you justify doing something like this, right? And insert whatever country you want for Israel, whatever. But the fact remains it's Israel, okay? Why would you do something like this? What tangible benefit is there for an agency that was created? Because, see, that's what Congress does. When they want to do something that they can't do by law, they just create a 3-letter agency or something else that allows them to do it and set policy and rules to do so. But Andrew, what good, as you've already said, comes out of something like this? And what in the Hades gives Congress the thought process that they can actually do something like this, and people are just going to be like, oh, that totally makes sense. Let's go ahead and entangle with a foreign country with our Pentagon, and when it comes to our defense and our offense, and everything is going to be okay when we share those secrets. And I'm talking in the Humpty Dumpty voice because that's how foolish this actually sounds. Andrew, I don't know if we're in a malaise, or there are some people that say, okay, this is okay because, or whatever the case may be. Let me just be honest. This is stupid. Absolutely stupid.
I'm just going to say, with 80% of the people being against what's going on with Israel and Lebanon and the Iran and whatnot, I don't see them as being our partners. Okay, I don't understand why the government is doing this, thinking that the American people are behind it. The American people are not behind what they're trying to do. We're pushing back on the data centers. We're pushing back on their agenda 150%. And we need to be talking about the fact that if they, merge our military, then where's our sovereignty, number one? Number two, let's bring in the fact that our border's been open and we have millions of other people in this country. Because remember, when something happens in America, Americans are going to take up arms against other Americans. It's going to be these foreigners. It's going to be other countries that are going to come in to take down America. Because remember, Netanyahu said that America was the golden calf. So we need to be protecting about what's happening on our shores, because right now, if we allow them to merge our military with Israel's military, when we've got the world hating us as it is, hating Israel for what they're doing, we need to be really honest about what we're seeing in front of us. This is not a good thing for America, because Americans certainly do not agree with what this government is doing with this foreign national company organization. And I don't care what country we're talking about. We're Americans. We stand on our own. We're sovereign. How dare they merge our military with somebody else's military? Who's going to protect our civilians? Who's going to protect our homeland? We've got our people over in other countries fighting wars, where we've got a war happening right here on our own soil. Americans need to see that this is a war. This is how a war looks like in 2026. Wow.
So Andrew, Juliana, you're so spot on here. Just to add to that, here we go again, letting another fox in the hen house, right?
Yes.
We did this with border policy, right? And we let the fox in the house, which is why the border swung wide open, and you're trying to clean this thing up. I caught Ross Perot the other day. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ross Perot was a billionaire businessman, a short Texan that had a voice that sounded like this. He ran for president in 1992, and he was actually leading in the polls, but he did something innovative. He actually answered practical questions from actual Americans in a way that everybody could understand. And what he said at the time is parallel to this, in the sense that when you let the idea of foreign influence creep into our everyday policy, you run into a situation where, in the case that he was talking about, it was NAFTA. And he was asked what's going to happen to American jobs and the economy if this happens. And what he relayed is, you will hear a giant sucking sound, and that'll be all the jobs going to Mexico, because people are so focused on making money instead of quality of life. And this is a guy who was a billionaire who wanted to make money. He said, you're willing to sacrifice the American dream and Americans' ability to buy stuff for you to make more money. Well, that's great, except who's going to buy your stuff? here we are again, where it's like the United States is structured in such a way that it is us. Why would we let a foreign country in the henhouse when it comes to our defense in partnership that way? And why the heck would Congress have to put it into a bill? Like,
Well,
what are you doing?
I don't think it even has to do with whether or not it's an ally nation or whatever. I do support Israel. Hey Hunter, how you doing? Good to see you. Alan, thanks for your comment as well. Good to see you guys engaging here in the chat. Most of you checking us out on YouTube. So
His last
thanks
name is
for
Militowski. Well done, Alan.
yeah, it's Milkowski. Yeah, and Jesus does love us, and He loves you too. So thank you for that. Couple of things though. There's a lot of what is happening. I'm not sure if you mean what is happening, like is in hello, or the old what's happening, or what are we talking about? So anyway, let me know if you want to. I'll answer your question if you're asking about our subject. But I do support Israel as a nation. I think their current government is less than savory. I'm going to put it that way for now. But the issue here also is we're going to create potential for more dependency on a foreign nation for our military strength or military strategy or military equipping. We talk about wanting to be energy independent. We talk about wanting to actually be pharmaceutically independent. We know that most of our pharmaceuticals are made in China. If we're importing energy, we import a lot of our food. The more dependent we are on foreign nations, if they decide to shut it off, or if that chain is compromised, we have an issue because we're the end consumer. This opens up that door as well. Not to mention conflicting national interests. We do cooperate with Israel quite a bit and quite closely, but we're still separate sovereign nations. We have different regional priorities. We have different intelligence objectives, different domestic political pressures, different exporting policies, different rules of engagement, different threat assessments. There are a lot of reasons why we don't line up 100%. We're different nations in different parts of the world. And technology that's useful to both countries doesn't mean every operational use serves us equally. I think we are opening the door to many potential problems we're not even thinking about right now. And the thing is, again, this whole story, this provision is being thrust upon us under the cover of darkness while they've got us debating whether or not daylight savings time is better than permanent standard time.
I think ultimately our audience needs to understand that we are for the people. We're not for the governments. I mean, most of us are sitting here scratching our heads about what the American government is doing, and we're not supporting what it is that they're doing, right? Okay, that's why we're having this conversation about this bill. So, I mean, we need to be talking about how we support the people of Israel. We support the people of Gaza and the people of Lebanon, because we, the people, the ones that are coming together. It's the men, women, and children, the civilians that are dealing with the aftermath of what's going on here. Because at the end of the day, we need to acknowledge the fact that we are the people. Right? We are the people of America. They are the people of Israel, and we support the people. We don't support what the government is doing. We don't support the war, because at the end of the day, it's us that suffer from it. When they're bombing all parts of Iran, what's happening to the children? I want to know what's happening to the children. We keep talking about all these, other superfluous things, but we should be talking about what's happening with the kids over there. What's happening when people are making decisions to have a war. Right? So I'm not interested in what's going on with the government as much as I'm really interested in what's happening to the people in the aftermath of the war because of these governments.
Again, stick with me on this. I want to use this illustration. Our food supply in America, for example, one of the reasons why it gets further and further strained is because of vertical integration. So there used to be food processors all around. There's less and less of those as we go. There's certainly a crunch, a squeeze on the local and small farmer and rancher in America. What happens is then it goes to the big guys, the Tysons and the Foster Farms and everything else. The problem with all of that, or one of the problems with that, is it becomes easy then to attack that system because the system is, one, consolidated into a smaller bottleneck, and two, it's also further removed from the people who need it. And so again, when you talk about marrying our military technologies with a foreign country, in this case Israel, well, then that actually creates another attack point for hostile nations against us, where they don't necessarily have to hit us directly. They can hit Israel. They can hit Israel's wherever they're storing their intelligence, or however they can hit Israel's technologies that we might be dependent upon, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure that somewhere someone must have thought of something like that, but you can't completely close that door, because, as we all know, um, to use a phrase, lab leaks happen, and whether on purpose or not. And again, I don't see how this is America first. I don't see how this promotes global safety. I understand working with allies and even having some global allies very close, but this to me is a bridge too far. RC, what do you thought here? Give you the last word.
Man, the last 3 days, Andrew, since we've been doing the spin cycle, has been vigilance, people. Vigilance. Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't let the distraction of daylight savings time take
Mm.
you away from the fact that we have the explosive diarrhea parasite running around and the CDC and other systemic failures, right? Don't let it take away from the fact that Congress is trying to ram one through on this deal where they basically co-opt military with the nation of Israel, which ultimately isn't going to be good for you. Don't get into such a haze or a malaise or idol worship over movement, man. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle it's on. Don't get distracted from the most important thing. And in a self-governing society, that's us doing the governing and holding the people that we send to represent us accountable. They hate to see you coming. In particular, they hate to see you coming in mass. So make them hate to see you coming, because that's also going to bring them to heel. The way that it works is you tell them what to do and they do it, not the other way around. But if
Mm.
we're not vigilant and we don't enforce it, it's not going to matter.
If we told them what to do and they did it, as in we the people, I feel like America would be a much different nation right right now. The whole grift is, hey, you tell us what to do and we won't do it, and then we'll run against the things that we're actually doing and convince you that voting for us is the only way to stop the things that you didn't want in the first place, that we are now doing, that we are now going to run against doing, but then turn around and do again once we get past election day.
A
Oh my gosh.
coordinator to coordinate the coordinating.
And it's
Yes.
unfortunate that everybody understood exactly what you just said, Andrew. Like, seriously.
All right. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just checking the news feed here. Nothing. I'm not really seeing much else going on. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on, but yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap up?
I just want to add that I've been seeing a lot of successes. Like, people are really pushing back on what's going on with the flock, what's going on with these data centers. The people's voices, they're really standing up and saying, hey, we're not going to tolerate, we're not going to take it, right? We're not going to take what it is that this government is pushing upon us. So we've been having a lot of success out there. And I want to say kudos to everybody out there that's standing up and saying, you know what, this is our America and we're going to take it back one step at a time, picking up something that they want to be able to advocate for and running with that baton to make sure that we keep America the way we want to have America. Because made in America, America is great, and that's the way it needs to stay.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Spin Cycle. Remember, you can find our other work, Culture Crossroads. We have new episodes every Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Time, and they are distributed over a wide variety of social media in various forms, and of course on BEKTV.plus. That is BEKTV.plus. BEKTV.plus. Let me get the right banner going here. And RC, remind us, Watchman Action, where can people find that?
Yeah, Andrew, you can find all things Watchmen Action at Watchmen, it's plural, Watch, M-E-N, action.org. On social media, our handle's the same for everyone. It's simply Watchmen Action. Throw it into one of the search bars. You will find our stuff on YouTube, on Rumble, on Facebook, on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, the whole 9 yards, all Watchmen Action, all things Watchmen Action at watchmenaction.org.
All right. We've been kicking off about 12:45 most days this week, but RC, I know you're out and on site. So what time can people expect tomorrow's installment of Spin Cycle?
12:45.
12:45. We're going to keep it rolling. All right. Well, we'll see you guys again tomorrow, a little after lunchtime. Till then, take care.